watching EDFL Web TV from the Sporting Globe in Moonee Ponds. It's time to move on to Essendon Ford Division 1. Tullamarine, huge winners, more than 130 points against Hadfield at the weekend in an absolute smashing, and West Coburg getting over the line late against Craigieburn. The second time this year that Craigieburn have given West Coburg some trouble, but the Burgers have come through. We start here because they meet head-to-head this weekend. It's the match we've all been waiting for. The commentary van's going to be heading out to Shore Reserve, and we're going to be broadcasting from Shore Reserve for the first time in my 4.5 seasons of broadcasting. It's a narrow ground, a bit of a different place, and I'm looking forward to seeing a game of footy like I probably haven't seen before around the EDFL. So, Adem, before we get into previewing the match, what do you make of those two results? Tullamarine just in a merciless beatdown of the poor old Hadfield Hawks, and West Coburg getting it done after being challenged by Craigieburn.
Yeah, it's they go into these games having played the bottom three teams in the last couple of weeks, so they've had some soft kills, so tough to really get a great form line on exactly where these two clubs are at. Tullamarine, that was a really emphatic win, obviously, at home. You know, John Kent, 7 goals. He goes to 39 for the year. Egan got 5, Mangan got 4. I mean, that's a complete domination. And when your big guns are firing up forward like that, you're just about unstoppable. So no real surprises there. If those three are going to combine and kick as many goals as they did, it was 16 in the end, then or 15, then certainly, yeah, it's going to be difficult for anyone to stop them. West Coburg, obviously, big second and fourth quarters for them. And they simply got the job done against Craigieburn. You're right, Tayo. Craigieburn seemed to match up well against West Coburg, but obviously too much quality in the West Coburg lineup at the moment.
Now, there were a few players abiding by the footy code at the tribunal, I heard, during the week. 4 players from that West Coburg versus Craigieburn game went up. 4 not guilty verdicts, so good news for Jordan Glowry and Fawaz Zakari. They are both free to play in the West Coburg versus Tullamarine game this weekend. Let's talk about what the ground will do to the style of play. It is virtually straight down the wings. There's no width, and one thing that we actually spoke to Ash Manning about at Leo Deneen when we called the Tullamarine versus West Coburg game earlier in the season was how much of the game was spent hugging the wings, and Ash Manning said if you don't play smart footy, you do get stuck on the wings at Leo Deneen. So chop those out, narrow up the field. Who's that going to favour? And the burning question is, how much does it actually mean, given grand finals are played at Windy Hill and the qualifying final might be played at Windy Hill or at Highgate Reserve or at Coburg City Oval, where the ground shape will be totally different?
Yeah, I played some juniors against West Coburg, obviously down at Shore Reserve back in the day, Teo, and it's a very funny ground, that one, to play on. It's very cramped. That's probably the best way to describe it. It's really tucked up, especially at one end of the ground. I think there might be a park behind it, and yeah, it's a really difficult ground to navigate, but yeah, on that second point as well, getting a gauge on where these two clubs are at, I don't think we're going to find out too much, as it was in round 4. Only 1 point separated these two teams in very wet conditions. We're going to get that again on Saturday, and I'm even hearing rumours that there might be some snow in certain parts of Melbourne as well. That's just how bad it's going to be on the weekend. So pretty sure we're going to find out a lot more come September. It's obviously going to be some great footy played there, and just hopefully it's a good competitive game, and not too many injuries come out of it, because we want to see these two clubs at their best in September. One
thing I'm looking forward to seeing is how Daniel Mangan is used. He roams. We saw that on EDFL.TV in the Tullamarine versus Glenroy game. He spent a lot of time up the ground as the outlet target. If they need to kick out of defence and they need someone to present a target on half back, or they need to kick to half forward and need someone to straighten up the corridor, that's where Mangan goes. On the narrow ground here, perhaps he and Kent can play a little bit closer to goal, like a two-pronged forward attack. So I'll be really interested to see if Mangan roves, if he rucks, or if he plays a little bit closer to goal, because as we know, Kent's been the man kicking the bigger bags of goals, but Mangan is a full forward at heart, and we saw that in Premier last season. So perhaps on the narrow ground, Tullamarine will play them both a little bit closer to home.
Yeah, you're right, and obviously we'll all find out on Saturday. I'm sure Ash Manning has a couple of cards up his sleeve there, exactly how he's going to use Daniel Mangan, and he's been excellent so far this year, obviously, Teo, and like you said earlier in the show, we're not coaches, so we certainly don't know, or we can predict too much exactly what's going to happen, but certainly looking forward to it.
One other thing that'll be interesting is Michael Egan. Could he win the Reynolds medal? He's been kicking big bags of goals from midfield, as has Abdi Fidax. Now, the link popping up on your screen will take you to all the pre-game and post-game interviews from EDFL Radio at the weekend. We actually spoke to the West Coburg club president, David Glowry, and we asked him about Abdi Fidax and how he responded to the suspension that he copped in the 2012 grand final that rubbed him out for the first half of 2013. Some great insight there from David Glowry as to how Abdi's football is going, and the reality is he was only a handful of votes away from winning the Hutchison medal in 2012, and his form this season would suggest that he might be on track to win it again. He was one of a host of West Coburg players who was not there in the first head-to-head match. So that's a massive in, and it's someone that I'm really looking forward to seeing how he plays, because when he's on, he's an absolute jet, and David Glowry, the club president, described him as the best footballer at the club.
Yeah, he's probably the best footballer in all of Division 1 footy as well, Teo, so really looking forward to what impact he can have against, obviously, quality opposition at Tullamarine, and they probably did miss him that first time around, even though they did win. Certainly his impact around the ground is going to be massive, especially up forward, obviously.
Let's get some quick tips for the other games in Division 1. Firstly, Taylors Lakes, a comfortable win against Hillside. It really could have been more at quarter time when we saw the score come through and it was already 6 goals the margin. I was fearing the worst for Hillside. Of course, their percentage is still crucial in the battle against relegation. But before we talk about the Sharks, let's get a quick tip for Taylors Lakes. They're playing against the team coming back from the bye, and that is Oak Park.
Yes, and look, Oak Park might be a sneaky chance in this one. Obviously, they've pushed both West Coburg and Tulla at certain stages throughout the year and been a bit stiff in other games as well. And Taylors Lakes, well, they're chugging along nicely at the moment. They're still sitting third on the table. They're outright third at 7-4, so they're getting the job done. But this is a bit of a danger game for them, especially on the road, but all their guns are firing at the moment. I mean, on the weekend, Gireb, Morelli, D'Souza, Ragusa, they were all really, really good. It's all the usual names that stand up for Taylors Lakes week in, week out. They should have too much quality, but you never know. It's going to go right down to the wire, that one, perhaps.
I'm confident Taylors Lakes will win, and unlike you, I'm not sure it will be close, but I hope for Oak Park's sake that they can take it right up to them at JP Faulkner. All right, West Meadows 11-10-76, beaten by Glenroy 12-10-82. This is the result that just keeps Glenroy hanging on with a mathematical chance of making the top 4. As far as the reality goes, they need to keep beating the teams above them on the ladder. They don't get that chance this weekend. Instead, they get the biggest banana skin in EDFL footy, and that's Craigieburn, because we know that Craigieburn on their day can be a very challenging and dangerous team, and Glenroy felt the full force of that first time around because they lost to Craigieburn in the first head-to-head. So does Glenroy undo the good work, or do they keep just a little bit of pressure on West Meadows for 4th spot?
Yeah, obviously, really good win by Glenroy last week in a pretty close affair, and they led for most of that game as well. So to keep West Meadows at arm's length at Willowbrook Reserve is a really good result for them. And you're right, obviously they need to back it up now with that big game against Craigieburn. It's at home, and I can't see them dropping it at Saw Reserve.
And the other game being played in Essendon Ford Division 1 this weekend, Hillside taking on West Meadows. Hillside, I think it's not an exaggeration to say they're in free fall at the moment, given where their win-loss and percentage was before this losing streak started. West Meadows, they'll be stinging after their defeat. Is there any chance that that has an impact here and Hillside perhaps catch the Tigers vulnerable, or will West Meadows bounce back here and basically right the ship and consolidate their grasp on 4th spot?
It's a pretty desperate situation for Hillside at the moment. It's going to be tough against West Meadows, who are on the rebound. May 17, that was the last time Hillside won a game. It was against Craigieburn, so it has been a dramatic fall. But you know what, for that reason, I think Hillside gets up in this one. They're my big upset tip for the week, and it's going to be very tight, obviously. Hillside do play Shark Park very, very well, and well, I certainly did last year, and have shown at times early in the year that they're very good up there. And West Meadows right now, are they feeling a little bit too safe? They're 2 wins clear. I doubt that they're going to become too complacent, but Hillside are going to be desperate, and pretty sure they're a sneaky chance for a victory there.
That's all coming up this weekend in Essendon Ford Division 1. That's it for EDFL Web TV this weekend. Don't forget, visit our social media networks. You've got the Facebook page, the Twitter account as well. You get the match day around the ground scores quarter by quarter following those, so make sure you jump on there. EDFL Team app, it's absolutely free to download, and also the Instagram, hugely popular. I can't profess to know what makes Instagram so popular, but every photo that goes up there, Adam, even ones with you, me and Dave Kennedy, seem to get 50, 60, 70 likes, so I'm bewildered, but it's fun. On an important matter, there is an interleague game being played this weekend. Vic Metro taking on Vic Country. This Vic Metro squad was selected on the basis of the Metro Championships at the start of the season. We've got the brothers Nat and Fort Caruso from Northern Saints representing the league, Sam Boyd from Airport West, and also Daniel Camposano from Greenvale. Is an emergency, but a reasonable chance of playing, given that they drafted him into the squad late specifically because they needed a key defender. Kelvin French will be one of the field umpires and Cam Millich a goal umpire, so that's great news for two EDFL umpires. It's all happening down at Cardinia Park. 4 p.m. start, it's the curtain raiser to the VFL game between Geelong and Richmond, so if you happen to be down that way for whatever reason and not around the EDFL this weekend, check in at Cardinia Park and cheer on 2 EDFL umpires and 4 EDFL players. It's great recognition and just a good sign for the league that in spite of not winning the interleague match at the start of the season, we've got 4 guys pulling on the big V.
Yeah, congratulations to those 6 gentlemen that will be representing the EDFL on Saturday on a pretty big stage here up at Geelong, a lovely stadium now after the redevelopment, so it'd be good to see some EDFL talent there. Yeah, obviously it was a disappointing result, that interleague game against the Northern Footy League, Teo, but Nat Caruso in particular, he was really impressive that day. He made a really good impression of himself, obviously Fort. He's a really good player as well, and good on Calvin French as well, obviously. A high quality and well-regarded umpire in EDFL circles.
Join us for the EDFL Match of the Day broadcast from 1 p.m. on Northwest FM 98.9. EDFL preview runs 1 to 2 p.m. Match of the Day is West Coburg versus Tullamarine, and we go all the way through until 5:30 with around-the-ground scores and post-match interviews. The Sporting Globe Player of the Day, $40 to spend right here at 690 Mount Alexander Road in Moonee Ponds. We'll award that as well. Adam, we've been talking this one up for weeks. It better deliver. West Coburg versus Tullamarine. Somehow I don't feel nervous at all. I think we're going to see a cracking game of footy regardless of who the winner is and what the margin is.
It'll be close, and that's probably all we're hoping for in the conditions that we're expecting, Teo. So hopefully another exciting finish just like in round 4.
Make sure you join us on Northwest FM and the EDFL Team app. Regardless of where you're heading this weekend, enjoy your football, and we'll see you right back here on the EDFL YouTube channel from the Sporting Globe next week on EDFL Web TV.